All right, today's question is, what does your lifestyle say about who you belong to? We're in Leviticus chapter 11, and this is where God starts laying out his rules about what's clean and unclean. And brother, it ain't just about food. It's about teaching his people to live set apart. So in verses 1 through 8, we see the clean and unclean land animals. He says, you may eat any animal that has completely split hooves and chews the cud. Clean animals, they chew the cud like cows and sheep. They have split hooves. Unclean examples are the camel that chews the cud, but not a split hoof. The hyrax and rabbit chew cud, but no split hoof. The pig split hoof, but don't chew cud. He says, you must not eat their meat or even touch their carcasses. They are ceremonially unclean for you. God's making a point. His people got to be different, even in their daily habits. This ain't about diet fads. It's about holiness. God's saying, you ain't like the world around you. You belong to me, so you live by my rules. In verses 9 through 12, we see clean and unclean water creatures. He said, you may eat all the animals that live in the water that have both fins and scales. Unclean is anything without fins and scales, like shellfish, shrimp, crabs, catfish, and eels. Even fishing ain't free from God's law. God's people got to filter everything through his word, even what's on their plate. It's a daily reminder. I'm God's child. I don't live like everybody else. In verses 13 through 19, we see the unclean birds. Here's the birds you can't eat. Eagles, vultures, hawks, owls, seagulls, bats. That's how you get COVID. Most of these birds are scavengers or predators. They feed on death. God's teaching his people, stay away from what's dirty, deadly, and defiled. Holiness means guarding your life from what corrupts. In verses 20 through 23, we see the winged insects. So unclean, most of these winged insects. Clean, you got some locusts, crickets, and grasshoppers. All other small flying insects that swarm are unclean to us. Even the smallest things matter to God. Holiness ain't just about the big sins. It's about daily disciplines, even in little choices. In verses 24 through 40, we see the rules about the dead animals. Touching a dead animal, you're unclean until the evening. Even things that touch dead things become unclean. Your clothes, your tools, your pots, your pans. Death and decay defile. God's people got to avoid what brings spiritual death, like sin and compromise and worldliness. Holiness is about separation from death and dedication to life in God. In verses 41 through 47, we see the purpose is to be holy like God. He says, for I am the Lord your God. You must consecrate yourselves and be holy because I'm holy. So you must distinguish between animals that are clean and unclean. The food laws weren't random. They were God's way of teaching his people to distinguish right from wrong, to be holy in everyday life, and to live set apart from the pagan nations. It was about training their hearts to love God's ways and reject the world's ways. So what's Leviticus 11 teaching us? First, God's people are called to live set apart, even in small daily things. Second, holiness is about distinguishing between clean and unclean, right and wrong. Third, God's people avoid what's dirty, deadly, and what defiles. Fourth, holiness ain't optional. It's a command. Be holy because I am holy. And that's echoed again in the New Testament in 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 16. Now let me bring it down to where we live today. God ain't just concerned with what you do on Sunday. He cares about how you live every day. What you eat, what you watch, what you listen to, how you work, it all matters to God. Holiness ain't just for preachers and missionaries. It's for every believer. God says you're mine, so live like it. Different, distinct, and devoted. Now in the New Testament, Jesus declared all foods clean, but the principle remains. God still causes people to live holy and set apart, not by dietary laws now, but by moral purity and spiritual discipline. So keep reading your Bible and don't be dumb.